Good morning. I'm Scott Clark.
And I'm Peggy Hurson.
And we are coming to you from the coffee shop. It's December 1st. It is Christmas madness, everybody. And we are at Zoka Coffee.
Zoka Coffee. And
Coffee.
It's not Zoka's Coffee. It's Zoka Coffee.
Yeah.
Yes.
I made that mistake when I texted it out. But
I just noticed there's no S.
Yeah, it's in the nice, quiet little borough of Green Lake, or kind of like Wallingford, Green Lake area.
Yeah, it's like where they bleed into each other.
Yeah, Seattle's that way. There's a lot of bleeding neighborhoods.
Totally.
It's the lines. It's one side of the street is probably Wallingford, the other side is Green Lake.
Yep.
Again, this is also one of the neighborhoods I kind of stomped around in when I was a teenager, and so it's a little weird coming back here because I don't remember it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do remember, but I don't remember these places, so it's kind of new. So yeah. I'm not sure if this place is new,
maybe,
or because it looks like a building that's been repurposed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely. To me, it looks like a bar that has been turned into a coffee shop, but it looks like a bar in Chicago that's been turned into a coffee shop.
Yeah, very kind of. Everything's industrial. It's old. And I don't know, it's just kind of weird. It's got the industrial, unfinished, like repurposed, like you made a funny face.
I did make a funny face. I just sipped my coffee and it tastes very strange. Like not bad strange, but just strange. Do you want to try it?
Yeah.
Okay, try my coffee.
Okay.
It's like almost tastes flavored, but I don't know. It's just an Americano. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it does have kind of like almost has like a soda flavor to it.
Yeah, isn't that strange?
Yeah, almost like it's a
cut with coffee or something, or cut with Coke. It does have a really weird flavor.
It's Colombian coffee.
Ooh, hey. Oh my gosh, could you imagine me on Coke? I would be the craziest, most obnoxious person. I'm already obnoxious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be the same way.
One of my coworkers, I should not tell this story, but I'm going to anyway. I work with a lot of former drug addicts, and this person that I work with, she used to be on meth, and she's very open about it. She's in recovery, and I was like, I've never had an urge to do any kind of upper, like wine, weed, like depressants are cool to me because it's like chills you out. But man, that would drive me crazy. And she was like, "Oh my God, if you were on meth."
Yeah.
Like, you're already super manic. And I was like, am I? And she was like, you are.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't know that I'm, like, she's like, you're super high energy constantly. And if you were on an upper, you would be unbearable.
Yeah, it's because you become hypersensitive to everything.
Oh my gosh.
Look, back when I was like 30, I took a lot of diet pills. That's how I lost a lot of weight.
You were telling me that.
And it actually does. It made me more... I was aggressive, like extremely aggressive, and my temper, like I normally, the fuse I had, what little fuse I had was gone.
Crazy.
So I'd blow up easily.
Yeah.
So,
no, I don't. I was like, well, good. I'm not going to do drugs then because I didn't want to in the first place, and clearly I would be a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, if they ever legalize meth, look out.
Totally. But it's funny people's perceptions of you because. Like I get both that I'm totally bonkers nuts, like zany and obnoxiously on all the time, and that I'm super chill and relaxed, and from the same person. Like that person at work actually complained about me one day because there was a crisis going on, and I was just like standing in my office, and I was like, let's give it a minute. I'm sure it'll work out, and everyone will calm down. And then she called our boss and was like, Peggy's not doing anything. Like she's just standing there. And my boss was like, Peggy can handle this. Like that's her way. She kind of like slows down and lets everything and she was saying that I was too calm. And I was like,
because you didn't freak out and panic, that made you too calm.
And I was like, how am I both too calm and super manic all the time?
I get that way too. But I'm type if I get too chill, I get like a bone ache and I have to move and I have to do something. That's like I feel guilty for being too calm too sometimes.
Totally.
And it's like, oh man, I got to get up. I got to do something.
Yeah. Well, now I can't figure out whether I'm like super chill or super crazy.
Yeah.
I think I'm a combination of both.
I think the secret is maintaining an equal balance of manic and chill.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think actually what it is that things don't bother me, but I get excited about everything. Like, people could be like, here's a paper airplane I made, and I'd be like, that's the best paper airplane ever, let's play with it all day. But like, if it's like, oh, so-and-so just set fire to something, I'm like, maybe we should do something. Let me have a cup of coffee first.
Yeah, I don't care.
You know?
Yeah.
I so don't care. That's why I'm a good social worker, though, because I don't get wrapped up in drama. Like, anything dramatic, I kind of just sit back and go, wow, look at that. And, like, I don't get sucked into it.
That's probably...
makes you a good social worker.
That'll make you sane. That will keep you sane.
And I learned it from a young age from growing up in a house with 12 people in it. Because if I got freaked out by every... zany thing that happened, I would have been driven nuts at age 6.
You just unplug from it then. That's what you
pretty
just,
much.
Yeah. I'm right here when you're done.
Totally.
You know, when you're...
The thoughts that run through my head are like, we'll all be dead in 100 years anyway.
Yeah.
Seriously, like I think that and I go, well, none of this really matters.
But
I'm good.
At the time, people think that it's everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like the world will not be right if this doesn't get fit.
It never is. It never is.
Along the grand scheme of things, it just doesn't matter.
The amount of time that situations are truly life and death is almost zero.
Yeah.
Like so close to zero.
Blink of an eye.
Yeah, that it's, infinitesimally small. But people like... And I think part of that is evolutionary.
Yeah.
That we're used to, in the past, we were in a lot of life and death situations. Yeah. And so our immune responses and our, fight or flight kicks in over stuff that's really... There is no tiger chasing us.
Right. We have to invent
It's really fine, yeah. But things become terrifying.
Our lizard brain doesn't want to go away, so it invents...
It's so true.
It invents a crisis.
I think people like it. Like, I think people enjoy crisis.
Yeah.
Because it makes it, you get a ton of adrenaline, and so they say they don't enjoy it. They don't logically think they enjoy it, but they engage in it so much that I have no choice but to believe that they enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because if I don't like something, I don't engage in it. But people who talk about, like, oh, there's so much drama, it's so annoying. I'm like, I got no drama. Why do you have so much drama? Maybe you like it.
Right. They're attracted, and they talk about stuff that actually really has nothing to do with them too. They involve themselves with other people's.
They make other people's problems their problems, and they're not.
I've done that before. I think I've been guilty of doing that, and it's.
I have in the past. I've learned not to as much as possible, but.
What I learned when I was really young, or in my 20s, every problem I've ever had, I'm involved in them. So once I changed myself, my problems got lessened, and I don't know, it just.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I read this book called. I read it when I was like 22 or 23.
Yeah.
It's a terrible title. It's called The Guide to Rational Living, and it's written by this Dr. Beck. Aaron Beck, I think, who's the godfather of rational emotive behavioral therapy, which is very similar to CBT, which is like the most common therapy practiced in the world.
Okay.
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay.
And it's such a good book, but it's about how, I think, boiling it down, like reading it literally changed my life. Like literally took me from being a person who was very easily upset to a person who pretty much doesn't. Like, I get mad, like, very rarely, and when I do, I'm, like, choosing to be mad.
Right.
I go, like, this is an irrational madness, but I need to be very angry right now, and so I'm going to let myself do it.
Right.
But because of reading this book, to me, like, that's how I think of it.
So you've allowed yourself to vent.
Yeah, totally, which I think is important to do, or you go a little nutty. But the book basically is talking about, rationally evaluating the thoughts that you have.
Right.
Like one of the things he talks about is shoulds. I'm trying to think of the different words. It's like, you should do this. This is awful, and this is horrible. Oh. And those words, like, we have thoughts where I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to do this.
Right.
It's like, well, why are you supposed to do that? Who decides that you're supposed to do that? is that rational or not? No, because there is no supposed to. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
It's all culturally. Like, if I'm like, well, I'm supposed to take care of my elderly parents when they're old, and that causes me a lot of anxiety, then I go, well, what is that supposed to? Like, that's something I'm imposing on myself. I'm choosing to do that. If I choose to do that, that's one thing, or I choose not to do that. And so you take away the, like, things you're imposing on yourself, or saying, like, it would be awful if I was homeless. Like, and that causes you a lot of anxiety. And so you have all this anxiety about being, like, losing your job, being homeless. It's like, well, really, it wouldn't be awful. Like, it would suck, and I don't want to be homeless, but my world wouldn't end. I have resources, I have friends. And so it's like, you look at the things you believe, and you kind of, like, you try to match them up with rationality. Yeah. And then you go, oh, well, nothing is awful. Because really, people survive things that, to me, seem awful. But if you really look at it, you go, oh, no, they, like, cancer or, you know, the death of a loved one, like, they're really shitty things, but, like, people live another day. And so, like, it's really about, like, looking at things and going, like making them the molehill again instead of the mountain. And, like, for some reason, when I was, like, 22 or 23, when I read it, I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my gosh.
It was really profound.
Yeah, I was like, I don't have to care about anything. Like, and he writes in this really snarky, funny way, and, like, I was like, wow, like, nothing is as bad as I think it is. And it totally, like, defused all of this anxiety I had about life. It was awesome.
Because a lot of the anxiety is worrying about stuff that you have really no control over.
And that exists in the future that isn't even happening.
Or won't exist at all.
Yes. It's anticipated anxiety.
What if? It's the what if button, and I hate that button.
And the system is all about like thinking about, like, oh, that hasn't even happened yet, and there are 100 scenarios where it could be something different. So why am I causing suffering in the present for something that exists in the future? Right. There's no point to that, and so, like, it's all letting go of those
or the
things.
Past too. People have a hard time letting go of stuff that just, it's done, it's over with. Just move on. You know, just
learn from it and change. Totally. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know how we got on that.
I don't know.
But that book is really, really good. If anybody is ever, like, wanting to read, it's like a self-help book. But it's one of the less cheesy, like, there's no, like, positive thinking, and there's no, like, cute anecdotes. It's written by, like a world-renowned psychologist.
Somebody who's actually studied their field.
For millions of years. And he wrote it when he was in his, like, 60s or something, so he's been practicing it for ages. And it's really snarky. Like, I actually, one of my old supervisors...
How old is it?
Like, from the 70s.
Okay.
One of my old supervisors went to a workshop taught by him when she was, like, brand new in the field, and she was telling me that he was, like, the most hilarious person, because he was like using the F word, and like he was, like, this super, super old guy. It was, like, right before he died, and he was just, like, completely irreverent, and she was like, this is the best workshop I've ever been to, because he was just like, what's your problem? Like, why are you doing this? And he was, like, really confrontational and really, like, totally, like,
I would
not
love
at all
to
what
have
you would
seen
expect.
that guy. I probably have dug him immensely.
Totally.
Man, it's just, I like it when people just don't have hang-ups over their grammar. I just love that.
And to be a person who's, like, super respected, who's kind of like a celebrity in the field, be so, like, not the quiet psychologist, but, like, a loud, obnoxious psychologist. That makes me happy.
I can't. Did we say the date?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Rick is the one who really loves that.
I know.
It's December 1st.
Just in case we didn't, that's for you, Rick. I can't remember. We're actually the first day of December, which now we are officially in the Christmas madness.
I know. Well, this is the shortest gap between Thanksgiving and Christmas in a while, right?
Yeah,
I keep hearing this, that it's like the fewest shopping days.
It's like every so often it happens where Thanksgiving comes really
super
towards
late.
the end of the month where we don't have the 5 or 6 days after Thanksgiving.
Totally.
Yeah.
What did you guys do for Thanksgiving?
We went to a restaurant in Sumner, which is really close to our house, and it's called the Buttered Biscuit. Tee hee.
Seriously, my coffee tastes like half coffee, half Diet Coke. Like, it's very weird.
No, it was a kid.
I don't hate it, but it's very weird.
Could that have been like the effect from the Splenda?
No, because I always use Splenda. Splenda doesn't change. It's the same.
Weird. Maybe it's just the brand of coffee they use.
I know, it's very weird. Anyway, go on.
So yeah, we went to a place called the Buttered Biscuit, and they normally have a very vast menu, but they narrowed it down to just the Thanksgiving foods.
Cool. Right on.
Ham dinner, turkey and ham dinner, and prime rib. I got the prime rib because turkey is disgusting.
Oh, I love turkey. It's my favorite.
I know. I'm like probably one of 100,000 people in the world that doesn't like turkey.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know. It's something about me. I think it might have, from my youth, I got traumatized by a turkey somewhere. I don't know.
I guess.
So
weird.
Yeah, it's. You know what I think it is? I grew up with a certain type of cooking in my family, and it wasn't very good cooking.
Oh, so you don't like crappy turkey?
Yeah, so.
Well, I don't like crappy turkey either.
Yeah, so it's just like every turkey, I just get, and I'm the same way with roast too. Like
really?
Like a pot roast.
Oh my gosh.
When I was growing up, it was bland, flavorless, and dry.
Oh my gosh. My dad we'd call it Sunday night dinner. He used to do, well, at first it was, excuse me, I have something in my throat. It was like tinfoil rolls with chunks of roast, potatoes, carrots, and onions, and then you roll them in a like it's like camping style.
Hobo stew.
Sort of, yeah. Like in tinfoil, and then you put it in the oven, and then you take it out. And then later on, he started using the crock pot. But every week when we go to church, he'd put it in, and then we'd get home from church, like the whole house smelled like roast, and then we'd have that for dinner on Sunday. And the most delicious thing of all time, and the easiest to make.
It's like a comfort food now too.
Oh, totally. Because then you just open it up and like the roast is just like falling apart because it's been slow cooked, and all the onions and potatoes. And the potatoes just like soak up the roast juices. And
I can't even relate because that kind of that cooking did not exist in my family at all.
That's so weird too because it's so easy. But I know what you mean, because there's a few things my mom would make that are questionable, but like there's enough things that like that meal where my dad is not a good cook, but that thing he just like threw it in and would like it's so easy you can't mess it up. And there's a lot of stuff my mom would make. Like my mom makes the most bomb French bread pizzas.
Oh yeah.
Like because she'll just like load it up with all this meat and cheese and sauce and like bake it in the oven for a few minutes and then slice it. It was amazing.
Yeah, French bread pizza is
super easy, you know? So it's weird to me when people are terrible cooks because there are certain things you can make that are like foolproof. Yeah. Because I'm not a good cook either, but I have like 5 meals that if people are coming over for dinner,
that's your go-to.
It's easy. I know how to make it. I'm not going to mess it up. Yeah. Like I'm good at it, you know? So.
What are they?
One is a buttered, braised steak. Weirdly enough, it's like a certain cut of meat, but you like do like butter, garlic, tarragon. No, not tarragon. That's the fish. What is the spice? Oh my gosh, my brain I can't remember what spice is in it. Okay. But you do this butter thing, and you just like slather it all over it, and then broil the steak.
Oh, so the fat cooks into
and it's like super yummy.
Yeah.
Parsley.
Parsley.
Yeah, it's parsley. You chop up the parsley in the butter. It's so good.
Really? What even thought about that?
And baked sweet potato.
Okay.
Salmon with like a tomato chutney on top. Okay. And mashed sweet potato. I always go with the sweet potato because it's super easy.
And it's good for you.
It looks exciting. It's good for you. Super yummy.
Yeah.
I do like a really good baked ziti.
What's that?
It's like the noodles are like tubes that are cut at an angle and they're kind of short. It's like large penne. Okay. And it's just like, cheese and sauce and
macaroni style.
Yeah, basically. And I have a couple salads I do. I'm trying to think of and like I have a bunch of fish that I can make because fish is really easy. Yeah. But yeah, I have certain things that I'm like, I know what I'll make. I'll make this. you know. And I can do stuff outside of that zone, and like the roast thing, that's an easy go-to.
Yeah, that sounds good. When are we coming over for dinner?
Especially for winter. Yeah, I'll make it. I have a crock pot.
Speaking of, Kenita's been spending the last week and a half or so on YouTube learning how to cook Thai food. Now, you'd think she'd already know how to cook Thai food.
You would.
Yeah,
I would think anything she would make would automatically become Thai food because she's Thai.
Yeah.
It's like the sacrament with Catholics. When you put the cracker in your mouth, it turns into Jesus.
What they call it?
Whatever food she puts in her mouth turns into Thai food.
Yeah.
Transubstantiation.
Yeah, transubstantiation. Yeah, you basically become a cannibal.
Pretty much. I've been watching the latest episodes that have been put on Netflix of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Did you watch that show?
No.
It is so funny.
I know.
And there's an episode about it's about cancer, but they end up going to the Catholic Church because Mac is really religious in quotes, and he's funny to me because he doesn't get religion, but he claims to be really religious. But then he when he starts talking about religion, he has it all jumbled up. But they're talking about transubstantiation, and they have the most hilarious conversation where Dennis is asking him questions about transubstantiation. Anyway, it's so funny. It's such a great
what's
show.
His name? That's the little Danny DeVito, right? Danny
DeVito, Charlie Day.
Yeah. I like Danny DeVito anyway. I should watch it.
He's a genius. It's really funny.
Yeah.
It is Seinfeld for our generation.
Okay.
I mean, for the generation of right now, because it's like Seinfeld, it's really sociopathic main characters who do not care about anybody but themselves, and watching them go through life, but it's to the extreme. There's one episode where Dee and Dennis start using crack, and it's so funny, and it's through this really their logic tracks through the whole thing, but they're doing things that are just nobody would ever do them, or they find a baby in a dumpster and then Dee tries to make the baby a baby model. It's so weird and really, really funny.
Just off the wall kind of stuff.
It's a genius show,
but almost not very politically correct.
It's completely not politically correct. Yeah. It's really, really good.
I probably would like it.
Yeah.
I have been watching Misfits.
Oh, good. How far are you?
I think I fell asleep last night on the season finale of season 3.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I finished all of the episodes, so now I no longer have any new episodes to watch. But season 3 is cool because I think actually that might be it stays really good, but I think season 3 is... They start now in season 4 to change over casts. Have you noticed that the picture of the show has different actors than the show you're watching?
Yeah. Well, the season, I think it's season 3 where they introduced they replaced the one Irish kid with another Irish kid.
Yeah, totally.
And it's they didn't try to make it the same person.
Right.
That guy went to Vegas with the new baby mama or whatever.
And then they have this new weird guy who splits into 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. He at first annoyed me and then grew on me later. But that kind of slowly happens where people leave for various reasons. Then they've already set up a lot of the Simon and what's her face? Oh my gosh, I can never remember
Kelly?
her name. No. Anisha?
No.
What is her name?
I'll think of it in a second.
People touch her and they want to have sex with her.
Yeah, she doesn't do that anymore.
I know.
What does she do?
But they've already kind of set up that there's this thing looming in the future with them.
Yeah, where he basically becomes this parkour superhero.
Right, totally. And that guy, Simon in Misfits, is, I think, the best example of someone who goes from not hot to hot, back to not hot, back to hot. Because he is so hot when he's hot, and so not hot when he's not hot. He's definitely,
yeah.
He is creepy and gross at first,
and uncomfortable.
And then in 1 second becomes the hottest dude on the planet, and then goes right back to being creepy and uncomfortable. And I'm like, how? It's amazing to me.
Yeah, I think he's probably the best out of all the characters there too, and it's
so good.
Yeah,
I'm obsessed with him.
Yeah,
but they like that. It gets in seasons 4 and 5. It gets a little there's a few characters that they bring in that I'm kind of I'm not super into this, but the plot goes in interesting enough ways that it doesn't ruin the world, you know?
Kind of like how it's nonchalant about just killing people, too. And they just go through the probation workers. And
it's my gosh.
But we killed another one. Let's get into it.
And there's like a couple probation workers that only last like half an episode.
Yeah, there was one that got bit by a zombie. He's like, nothing personal. Right. You have to bash your brains in.
Has the really scary probation officer come yet? Because he's my favorite.
The scary one. The one that
you would know. He's really, really crazy hard ass. Like, gets up in people's faces and like threatens them and stuff. He is awesome. I think he comes up in season 4. He lasts a long time.
Okay.
Like,
because the last probation worker, maybe it's a contractual thing where they basically, if they want more money, they're like, well, we'll just kill you, Pop. I think the episode I'm watching now is where all the past season probation workers have come back
from the dead.
To talk to them.
That's a good one. Yeah, totally. Right on. Yeah, I really dig that show. Like, I don't know. It's fun, huh?
I like it because it's not offensive, but it can be offensive.
Yes.
But I just love the British humor.
Yeah.
I like the way. Like, if anybody here was watching and didn't know anything about British humor or their swears,
yeah,
you know, and it's like, what's bollocks mean? You know, right. I know it's really bad. I know bollocks is a bad word, but I could say it all day long and nobody would care.
I thought it was balls. I don't know if that's true or not. But that's what I always assumed.
I assumed it because when at the beginning where the what's her name was having the dog lick her face, and he said, "I just got done licking my bollocks."
Yeah,
and
totally.
I think it might be that area between the balls and that.
Maybe
we could look it up.
Balls. And I like how they do use a lot of, because it's a UK show, but there are other shows that I find obnoxious because it's so much slang that I don't even know what people are talking about. Like,
right.
The In-Betweeners, the TV show. There's a movie and there's a TV show.
I didn't see the movie. I saw the movie, The In-Betweeners.
Okay. It's good, but there are so many conversations that, like, they're so fast, and, like, the teenagers that, like, at a certain point, I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about. Like, I can assume general things about context clues, but they use so much slang that I get lost, and then I start getting annoyed with it because then I'm like, I can watch British shows. Like, there are a lot that I understand, and I wonder if they're just using really regional stuff.
They get into the Cockney type of talking, and it's a lot of rhyming.
Yeah.
They rhyme stuff.
And then, like, I just get really jumbled by it. I get the same way, oddly enough, reading Jane Austen. When I watch Jane Austen movies or plays or whatever, I can understand it because the actors know what they're talking about, and they emphasize words, and you know what I mean? Like, watching Shakespeare, which I don't have as big of a problem with Shakespeare, but Jane Austen, for some reason, writes in this really, like people make jokes in this really roundabout way.
Okay.
That, oh, well, you know, one must not look past one's nose when one says something, and then, like, on the movie they're, like, looking at the person, and you're like, oh, she just made a dig on that guy.
Yeah.
But when I'm reading in a book, I'm just like,
what the hell does that mean?
I have no idea what they're talking about.
What? Then you go back and read it again. No, it still doesn't make sense.
Exactly. So I've given up reading Jane Austen because I find that I just can't, like, I don't understand what's going on, and it makes me feel stupid. And then I'm like, I'm not a stupid person.
It's just,
so I give up on Jane Austen.
Yeah.
I know, it's so, like, her humor exists so in that, like, cultural context that I'm just like, man. But I do love the movies.
I did watch something this last week that I kind of liked, but then after I thought about it, I'm not sure if I like it anymore.
What is it?
World War Z. I watched.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, we can get into this. I've seen World War Z. Okay.
I did see it, and I thought, because it's kind of neat. You know, I thought it was the end of the world, apocalyptic type, but there wasn't a lot of gore.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of gore. It's just biting.
It's PG-13, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, the infected weren't eating people; they were just biting and moving on, basically spreading the pathogen.
Yeah.
And then at the end they just defeat it with a virus, another virus.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
they don't defeat it with another virus.
They mask. They don't defeat it with a virus.
Right.
They infect everybody, so they camouflage with it. But it's just like,
what did you want them to do?
Here's
why you're wrong. Here's why it's the best ending of any zombie movie ever. I'll tell you. There are a few reasons why you should go with your first instinct, which was to enjoy it.
I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
But then after I thought about it, I'm like, really? I thought it felt M. Night Shyamalan to me.
Oh.
That's what it kind of felt like to me.
Yeah. See, M. Night Shyamalan would have said they're not really zombies, they're robots from the future, and then you'd have been like, fuck you, M. Night Shyamalan.
Or they're
Here's why I liked it.
made of grass.
Yeah, it's the trees. Here's why I liked it, the ending. Because it wasn't a cop-out ending in the sense of most zombie movies don't defeat the zombies. Most zombie movies, they either like Dawn of the Dead, where they go off, spoiler alert, onto a boat, and you don't know what happens to them, but you can assume, or everyone dies,
right?
Or like they never have a plausible way of actually moving past the apocalypse, or it's like Walking Dead where they're constantly stuck in the apocalypse because they're just surviving despite the zombies. This was the first time where it was like, the idea of making yourself a little bit sick and then you're no longer
a viable
food for these, because they think you're already sick, and so they're not trying to infect you with the sickness thing.
You become a non-viable host.
Yeah, totally. That, to me, is kind of interesting because it sort of makes sense in that context of, like, a virus trying to survive.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It saves the people, and theoretically, then the zombies kill themselves out because
they just die.
Yeah, they have nothing to eat. And so to me it was the first actually plausible real ending to a zombie movie. Yeah. And I'm like there were a lot of reasons I dug that movie. One was the shaved head Israeli soldier girl who I was obsessed with. I think she's like a magnetic, crazy, amazing. Like the first second she came on the screen I was like, who is that? Like she was so interesting and subtle and not a love interest.
I knew as soon as they introduced her, I knew she was going to be in the movie from that point on.
Totally, because she was so magnetic. I just was almost in love with her. Oh my gosh.
She was so framed in too. It wasn't like she just walked through the frame. She was like boom right there.
And I love characters who are a little gender non-normative, and the fact that she was this really butch girl was just super awesome to me. Yeah. And I liked the parts how Brad Pitt kept. Usually when I watch a zombie movie, it's the shouting at the screen concept where you're like, oh no, here's a way for you to get out of this that you're not seeing, and you're wanting them to do stuff. But Brad Pitt's character was always 3 steps ahead of me.
I did like that.
Yeah,
I liked that part of it.
The phone books on the forearms, I was like, what a genius idea. I never would have thought of doing that, but it's so smart. Yeah. And so I thought that they took a really known genre and made it enough interesting that it had all these little that's a cool take on that, and that's a really interesting point.
They played on his.
I dug it.
They played on his character from what he was before. He's an investigator, so he's really in tune.
It made sense, that he would come up with these ideas of creative ways to get out of these really crazy situations. I liked it.
That's the only part I really didn't. My mind just wanted something more. I guess
at the end.
Yeah, I just was like, okay. It just felt like it was. I don't know.
I don't know what more you would have wanted then, because every other zombie movie has a 10 times shittier ending.
That's probably what it is. I'm so used to those endings.
They're on the boat, but then you see that maybe there's a zombie there, and then you're like, well, then the movie's not over because they're still freaking fighting zombies.
Oh, and I also watched Oblivion.
Crazy. Oh, did you like it?
I did like it.
I liked that too.
Yeah.
It got worse reviews than it was to me.
I thought it was
all right.
I actually liked that ending too. Morgan Freeman, who's basically.
Are you going to spoil another movie?
No. No,
okay.
I just
We're
like
gonna have to change the name to Scott
spoilers.
Spoiled Movies.
Sorry. Well, if you haven't seen it by now,
it's true. There should be a statute of limitations on a spoiler.
I think 4 months is plenty of time.
Yes, I do too. Also,
yeah.
I think 2 weeks is enough for a TV show, but people fight me on that. I'm like, if you're a fan, you'll see it in 2 weeks.
It's been on for 8 seasons, and you're still in season 1. Give me a break, so don't worry about it.
So Oblivion.
Morgan Freeman is lately has been in everything.
I know.
That guy is amazing, and I still remember him from The Electric Company.
I do love Morgan Freeman. He's casting his net too wide for me right now.
Yeah.
Like Las Vegas. Every time I see a preview for that movie, it makes my soul die.
I don't know if it's him casting it. Well, I mean, he may be just not saying no. Just people come ask him. He's been in everything.
I'm sure that movie was just him and those guys going, "Hey, wouldn't it be fun to just fart around on a movie set in Vegas?" And everyone was like, "Yeah, let's do it." But it makes me sad. It makes me sad. Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
Michael Douglas. Morgan Freeman. Robert De Niro. That makes me sad. Like, they're like, oh, we're old guys in Vegas. That makes me want to cry and weep for the world because they're all really great actors. No, I would never see it because then I would just cry and I'd be like, what are you doing with your career? This is a horrible hack movie.
I think they're trying to do like a Hangover style movie.
Yeah, with old dudes making geriatric jokes. Oh, there's a Viagra joke. Oh, hilarious. No, that's not funny. Not funny at all.
Within the last 5 years, I think my most favorite Morgan Freeman movie was with who's that guy? He's always at the Lakers games. I will think of it in a second.
Lakers games.
He's always Jack Nicholson.
Oh.
Called The Bucket List. That was probably my favorite.
That was good.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sweet movie.
Yeah,
it's
and it
one
wasn't
that you watch when you're sick. You know, you're like in bed and you're like, The Bucket List.
It's a pick you up movie.
Sweet,
yeah, it's a pick you up movie.
I like that movie.
I want a billionaire friend so I can do my bucket list.
Me too. Hell yeah. I want a billionaire friend for a lot of reasons.
Just
be around and hang out with.
Yeah.
No, but Oblivion, I thought Oblivion had a really awesome universe. Tom Cruise, I'm the one person who says boldly, Tom Cruise has never been not good. Even when the movie's not that great, he is awesome in it.
Right.
And there's nothing I don't like about Tom Cruise.
Prime example, I think I gotta say, we also watched another Tom Cruise movie, and I've seen it several times. Day and Night, I think, or Night and Day.
Night and Day.
Yeah,
see, that's one movie that's not that great, but he's great in it.
Yeah, he is.
Of itself is like a meh movie. If it was Ashton Kutcher, it would be retarded. But he's great in it.
I like the way you say Kutcher.
Kutcher?
Kutcher.
Isn't that Ashton Kutcher?
I don't know.
Kutcher?
I like the way you say Kutcher. Kutcher.
Yeah, no, I will argue with people about Tom Cruise forever because he is nuts in his personal life, but in movies, I always like him. Like Ghost Protocol, great movie. Like, he's so good in it.
It was actually a shit movie. He was good in it.
He was great in it. No, that movie has some of the coolest stunts. I love Ghost Protocol, actually. I think it's my favorite Mission Impossible. But, Tropic Thunder, genius. He ranges from really good to amazing.
That movie is awesome.
His worst movie ever. Let's think of what his worst movie ever is. I can't even think of it because they're all good. But even in the worst movie that is Tom Cruise movie, he's still pretty good. Still better than
I'm trying to think of a really bad Tom Cruise movie.
I know. I can't think of. I love Tom Cruise though. Magnolia, he's genius. He plays that motivational speaker. Blows my mind. Vanilla Sky.
Yeah, amazing. That was actually, I think that's got to be the worst movie that he
Vanilla
played.
Sky?
Yeah.
See, I love Vanilla Sky. I love that movie.
But he was good in it, though.
He's great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Cameron Diaz is great in that movie. She's one that has a big range. She's the opposite of Tom Cruise.
If you cut Tom Cruise out of the movie, would it still be that great of a movie?
Probably not.
No.
That's the thing, is he's always good.
Yeah, so he brings them. It's
he totally
a
C+
movie at best, and he brings it up to A- or B+.
Totally. And to me, that makes him the best. He is the best at what he does, because if you can't really say that about most other actors, that if they were in a shitty movie, the movie would become better. Usually, they're in a shitty movie and it's they stand out like a sore thumb. They don't bring the movie up,
I always think of the movie. It's one of his first movies where he goes down to Tijuana. Do you remember that one? He goes down to Tijuana and he gets. I think it's Shelley Long's in the movie. And
Shelley Long. Now I want to see this movie.
She's down in Tijuana. She's down in Tijuana because she broke up with her fiance, and they hook up. But it's.
Keep talking about it. I'll think of what it is.
It's one of his early movies. It's like 80 something.
I wonder if I've never seen it.
You got to see it. It's really.
I swear really though, I'm into old Tom Cruise too. Like 80s Tom Cruise is great.
Have you seen Legend?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love Legend.
Legend
is great. My favorite, and this is controversial also, far and away. It's the movie where he and Nicole Kidman are Irish.
Oh,
and he's this he's always trying to fight people, and he's this little scrap, they call him scrapper in Ireland, and then they end up coming to the US, and she's this rich daughter of this landowner who's I'm gonna go out in the world, and is really bold and naive, and gets herself in all these bad situations, and he's trying to help her because he's kind of working class and realizes all these stupid things she's doing, and then it's this love story, and it's in a time period, and there's boxing. It's just such a great movie. I'm obsessed with it.
Isn't that where they kind of had their affair when they got together?
They got together on
Days of Thunder.
Yeah, which is another great movie.
Again,
I'm a Tom Cruise fan.
It's also if you take Tom Cruise out, it's just NASCAR.
Yeah, totally. Put Tom Cruise in, awesome movie.
Yeah, it basically promoted NASCAR to a whole new level too.
It totally did. Yeah, I love that movie actually. It's a great movie.
If it wasn't for that movie, I think NASCAR would have died out.
Really?
I think so.
Oh no, it has so many fans
now. But
back then though, it had it. That's why they made a movie of it, because it was this sport that was people were really excited about it.
About left turns.
Left turns. Hey, I'm in it for the wrecks. Yeah. I actually have never seen a NASCAR race. I've seen car racing, but it wasn't.
I actually watched the one where, what they call me from the great one, Dale Earnhardt. I seen that one where he died.
Oh wow!
And I was like, really?
Sad.
I didn't want. But if you rewatch the footage, it just looks like he just turns off and hits a wall.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like he hit it really hard.
Weird.
I've seen a whole lot more violent crashes than that, and where
people walk away. What happened? Did he burst into flames or something? I don't even know.
His head is actually it's called when they do a front whiplash, and it actually broke his neck off of his base of his skull.
Scary.
Yeah.
That's sad. That's one of those things where people sometimes, like Natasha Richardson, fall and have a weird fall and hit their head and die. And like people are so weirdly fragile, but I'm amazed more people don't. But people get in these horrible crashes or get stabbed 1,000 times and just happen to not hit you in that one tiny little spot that 2 inches this way, 2 inches that way.
Not even
it's
that
really
much.
amazing.
It's a hair that way, that way,
Because your necks and heads are so fragile, and people do crazy shit all the time, and but then one person slips on ice and hits their head and dies.
It's kind of like, what's his name? Is it Dr. Atkins with his diet?
Oh yeah.
He slips and falls and breaks his head open on the ice and dies.
That's so crazy.
He's trying to promote healthy living through a protein only.
I know, totally. So. It's crazy.
So what'd you do for Thanksgiving?
Oh, for Thanksgiving, first we made dinner for the people who live in my facility in the morning.
Oh, okay.
At work. I worked. And we cooked turkey and ham and served everybody, and it was super fun. Yeah. And then I went over to my sister's house, and we had big, traditional.
The sister on Poverty Rock?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. My sister lives on Mercer Island. And we just had a really big, nice dinner, and then I hung out with my niece, and we watched, what did we watch? Oh, Monsters University.
How was that?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, my Monsters, Inc. is my favorite Pixar movie. Period. I love it. I'll watch it 1,000 times. And even though all the Pixars, except for Cars, because I think Cars is stupid, are all really good, it's to me my favorite.
Best one.
And so it's not as good as the first one, but it's still sweet and funny, and the characters are great, and that world is fun.
Did they use the same character voices?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. It's John Goodman and Billy Crystal, and it's them in college, and so there's this whole like fraternity thing where all the frats are competing for this scare prize to scare people, and they're in like the loser frat. It's like Revenge of the Nerds.
Nerds, but with the Monster Inc. Okay, cool.
So it's super cute, really funny.
Yeah.
But I'd say on my Pixar scale, it goes like Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, Toy Story, then Monsters University.
Okay.
So it's like really good, but you know, on the scale, it's down a ways.
Well,
actually, I'd say Up is better than it too.
I'm kind of glad that they waited a long period of time between sequels too, because it seems like they come out with the sequel too fast.
Yeah,
it's like you still know what the other movie is like. It's not a newness anymore.
Yeah. Well, and I think that Pixar is suffering from sequel fever now, and they're just doing too many sequels. And so, but this one to me is the best that I've seen.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Yeah, it was good, and it was fun to hang out with my niece. And
Steve Buscemi in it still too?
Yeah, Steve Buscemi's in it.
He's my favorite one too.
Yeah, he's not as good in this one. He's much more of a side character. But he is there, and he plays kind of an interesting part. Like you see him before he becomes evil, so he's this like you kind of see some of the transition too, but you know he's this like goofy lizard, you know, who's like really insecure in a weird way. It was cool. I liked it. So
cool. I have to check it out.
Yeah, totally. And I played this game with my niece where my niece is 5, and we were reading this book.
Yeah.
And it was like the Gingerbread Girl or something, and they have all these songs in it. And I read the first few pages, and I said something like I was reading the book to her and her cousin, and who's a cousin on the other side. So I don't even think I don't know what she would be to me, my like in-law, cousin-in-law or something. I don't know. Anyway, my niece-in-law. I have no idea. She's just my niece's cousin. So I'm reading it, and then I said something. I was like, "Oh no!" As I turned the page, and she was like, "It doesn't say oh no." And then, of course, because I'm me, I was like, "Oh, she's heard this a lot of times." Then I started throwing in stuff that wasn't in the book.
Oh.
And then she would get really mad, and like they had all these songs. And it would have like a little like, then they sang this song, and then I'd start singing it, and I'd read what was there, but then I'd just keep singing and making stuff up.
Oh, cool.
And she was like getting so mad. She was just like, it doesn't say that, and like screaming, and then like every time I do it, they'd both like jump up and scream and like run out of the room, and it was so funny to me. Like I couldn't stop laughing because it would make them so mad. And then I'd be like, okay, I'll read it, calm down, and we'd turn the page, and I'd read it like it was written, and then I'd like add a whole bunch of stuff and get really mad and run out of the room.
You know what though? Awesome. They're gonna remember this as a really fond memory though. I know they will be.
I love messing with my nieces and nephews.
That's the best.
My most favorite thing.
It's the best.
Totally.
It's because I don't remember getting messed with in a fun way like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I was tormented and get noogies and was it when you sit on somebody's chest and you poke them in the chest? The Chinese.
Does that have a name? I was just thought it was people being jerks.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I had a lot of jerky uncles.
Totally.
Well, actually, I think I had one jerky uncle. He's actually my favorite uncle, though, now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
My aunts and uncles, I mean, part of it, I think, was that my family was so big. But they were around, but I don't remember, like, doing stuff with them. Yeah. You know? Like, they were there sometimes, but I didn't hang out with, or, like, we just, like, there wasn't that closeness. Like, they seemed so old to me. And they were all already married and had kids of their own, and, like, that. So, to me, it's fun because, like, I've always been closer in age to my nieces and nephews. Yeah. And, I mean, this one, the 5-year-old, I'm way older than her, but, like, when, like, my oldest nephew was little, I was a teenager.
Right.
I was a young teenager. I was 12 when he was born.
How old is he now?
22.
22, okay.
And so to me, it's fun that they would have, like, I feel like more of a cousin to them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's
Which is fun for me. And
my youngest uncle is kind of similar. We're really close in age. Well, I say now we're closer in age. He's like 53 and I'm 43, so
yeah, that's super close in age for an uncle.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, and that's why, like, I try to, like, take them to the park and take them, like, I took my sister's kids in the summertime. I took each of them on a play date where they got to pick what we did, and we just took off for the day, and I was just with them. Yeah. And that's fun to me because, I don't know, I just didn't get that when I was little. Like, my grandparents would do that. But my aunts and uncles always seemed like, I don't know. I didn't have like a close relationship with them.
They were older.
Yeah.
Like, you had a pretty good generation. Yeah, generation gap.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and they were busy with their own kids too. Probably.
Yeah, totally. And they just aren't fun. I mean, my Uncle Joe is really fun, and I always liked him and my Uncle Jim when I was little. Like they were always really like they would play with us and stuff. Yeah. You know. But, like, my Aunt Kathy, we spent a lot of time with her. She lives up on Whidbey. I loved her. But it was always, like, I don't know, like, we'd be at her house. It was, actually, I think she's probably was my closest aunt when I was growing up.
You had those relatives' house where you went to and you weren't allowed to sit on anything or touch anything?
Yeah.
And they had that dish of ribbon candy.
That was kind of my grandma's house. Oh, there was a little, like, there were places we could touch things and play, but it was they had this really nice house, and it was, like, upstairs. No shit goes down. Like, you know, like, because everything was so nice. Yeah. But we were also really rowdy kids. And so I think when we'd go over to grandma's, it was like, you need to act nice and don't break things and be crazy. Yeah. And I was like, I will try really hard, but I cannot promise anything.
Designated areas.
Yeah. But they were fun because they had, like, a pool table and a swimming pool. Oh. And so, like, we would play pool, we would swim in the pool, and, like grandma would make she had these like buckets of dough, like pastry dough. Okay. And we would do like homemade cinnamon rolls, homemade tarts. And so it was already like half prepared, and she'd be like, wanna cook? And just like roll out the dough and we'd make stuff, and it was great. I loved being at grandma's house. Yeah. I loved it. And they had like this downstairs fridge and freezer. Like the upstairs was the main kitchen.
Was it like a basement?
Sort of. It was built on a hill.
Okay, so daylight basement.
Yeah. And so the downstairs was like the play areas, and then they had this like the snack area, which was like Hydrox cookies in a canister and like diet chocolate soda. It was just like if Rick was here, he would be dying laughing because diet chocolate soda is like the symbol of grandma's house. And
it's also
goldfish crackers.
I think it's only old people drink.
Oh, totally. If I don't think it even exists anymore, but it was always this weird thing where it was like they just had this fridge full of diet chocolate soda. I was like, let's drink this weird beverage.
And it tasted weird too. It had a weird
it was not good at all. No. But yet, when you go to grandma's house, you're like, let's drink the diet chocolate soda.
I can't even. My grandma has a pool table as well, but I can't remember whatever. She never had that diet chocolate soda.
Yeah, my grandparents did. They were very food storage-y. Like they had this whole basement thing that was like canned foods and like they were
that has to do with the rationing.
Yeah, like Depression era. That's what my grandma would say. She was like, "Well, we grew up, knowing that things can change, and you should probably have a food storage.
Stock up.
Totally. Yeah. And so anyway, I have very fond memories. And the bathroom, there's like this big stack of Reader's Digests. Oh. And I would just go in there and like, I knew all the, the joke pages. There's like 5 or 6 of them. And I bet if I picked my brain, I could think of them. Humor in uniform. It's the military jokes. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the main one that was the funniest. The like general jokes. But there's like 4 or 5 pages in Reader's Digest that are just reader-submitted jokes.
Is that even around anymore? Do Reader's Digest?
I have no idea. Probably not.
Because I know it used to be a big thing to be published in Reader's Digest.
That was the thing. It was my dream to write a joke and send it to Reader's Digest.
To get published.
Always like trying to think of a good joke, and I was like, I could make like $25.
We should come up.
Do you know?
You were talking about we should come up with a game, right? I think that would be kind of fun. Stuff that basically that was like really relevant when we were younger. And then where did it go?
Okay, where did it go?
Yeah, where did it go?
How are we gonna know? We have to do research. That's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
But we should do it. Like one other thing, where did it go?
like if we were to make a time capsule, like if we were, like for a matter of fact, in 2005, no, 2020, they're digging up the time capsule at the Super Mall. It was buried in it was buried in 1995.
Oh,
I'm trying to think. That seems recent to me.
It does seem recent. That's our age, though. Because
but I'm trying to think what was
15 years ago.
What was hot in '95 though?
Well, Friends came out in '97.
Could you put that in a time capsule though?
No, I know.
What would you put in a time capsule?
'95 was like the Cranberries were on the radio.
Yeah.
Grunge.
I thought, well, maybe
grunge was almost on its way out.
You put a flannel in there, maybe. And maybe some Doc Martens.
Yeah, some Doc Martens.
Yeah.
95 is an interesting year to pick. I was a sophomore in high school.
Microsoft was on its way up.
Computers were just starting to really have them at home. Like enough people were starting to get them that it was more common.
And it's weird because they were actually really expensive for what you made. I mean, like they were like $2,000.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
They were like $2,000 back in '95. Now they're like almost free.
I know, totally.
Why have one? They're useless almost now. Everybody has their phone. Everybody has their laptops or tablet.
They're not useless if you game.
I know that's Keegan. He's like,
yeah, I know.
That's what. Well, and that's what they've evolved to as well as gaming.
Yeah. Well, and there's certain things that you can't do everything on your phone. I still need a computer. There's like enough things that I do that I need a computer for. But the tablets are getting better. My next computer will probably be a tablet. It won't be a laptop.
Now, are you going to get one of those ones that convert?
I don't know. I kind of like the Surface Pro 2. It has a detachable keyboard, and so if you need a keyboard, you can click it in.
Okay.
But if you don't, because the 2-in-1s look really cool, but if you really look at them, they're kind of thick.
Yeah.
And I like the slimness of the Surface and the fact that if you really need a keyboard, but like you were saying, you don't really need keyboards that much.
No.
But like some of the games I play, I would want a keyboard for, and so if you want it, you can just click it in. Use the little flat keyboard, and it's really slim. The processor is as good as a laptop.
It is?
It is. It can do every piece of software you can run on a laptop. You can run it on the Surface Pro 2.
And it has USB ports.
It does.
Yeah.
There's so many things about it that it's like, it's the first one that I've seen that actually makes me go, oh, I probably, if my laptop cracked out, I can switch to the tablet and not lose the functionality of the laptop. So I actually, if I do something like that, that's the one.
Right.
At this point, I'm going with that. But I do really like the 2-in-1, how it slides, and that's really cool.
And the commercials are cool.
The commercials are cool, but it's just too fat to me. I want something slim.
I like the one is the guy there on the train platform, and then when
I haven't seen that one.
She opens it up and flips it around, and all of a sudden everything's like old English, and it's all steamy and everything.
That's funny.
And there's a chimney sweep asking how there's a work. It says operate on coal and steam, stuff like that. And it's like Oliver Twist type.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's really funny.
Because it makes they're promoting it as like everything before this is Stone
archaic.
Age.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've seen the one where it's like everybody at the business meeting with their like 1998 laptops that are like 3 inches thick with like the huge keyboards. Yeah. And then the person has the 2-in-1, and the guy like spills his coffee on his old laptop. Yeah, which I had one of those really thick 1998 laptops for like all the way through college. Like my dad gave it to me because it was his laptop, and then I went off to college and he gave it to me, and then I rocked that laptop until like from like 1998 to like 2004. And then finally the keyboard stopped working, so I had an external keyboard. Like, it was a hot mess, and then finally it died, and then I bought my first computer that I bought myself. But I was already, 23 or 24. Like, for a laptop, it was...
Ancient.
Yeah. Ancient. Because when I got the new computer, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Like, what happened? And people were like, well, you were using the oldest, grossest computer.
Yeah, I had a... I had a word processor.
Oh,
I have problems saying that word processor.
I used a word processor in like junior high. I checked one out from the library to type something at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, they were kind of awesome.
You had a little floppy disk drive, floppy drive, and a little tiny screen here, and you type it up, and then you hit print, and it would go.
I mean, compared to a typewriter,
yeah,
they were pretty bomb.
Because you could type everything out, proofread it, and then print it out.
I know. Which, like, have you used typewriters? Because I was a nerd. I've used a lot of typewriters.
I took keyboarding.
Nice.
I did.
Typewriters are a pain in the ass because you have to like know what you're gonna say, and then like the erase never really erases.
The backspace.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have the faint remnant of the old letter underneath the correction.
And you have to type at a rhythm so that the keys bounce back in the right time. Like you can't just go like. You have to go like deep duck, deep duck, deep duck, deep duck, deep duck.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of fun.
Otherwise, they get jumbled up. They mash together.
Like which actually, did you know that the QWERTY keyboard is arranged in the arrangement it is because of the speed of typewriter ribbons? That when they were arranged, like originally they were arranged in a more logical order.
Yeah.
But they moved commonly used like E and M and N to different places so that it would slow people down a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I read about that once and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. But now now people can type really fast because we're more used to it.
Yeah.
But in early typewriter days, they would change things around so that the typists wouldn't speed up too much.
Yeah. And at 100 words a minute is flying.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. I think I've maxed out at like 33.
I'm quite a fast typist.
And that was with massive misspellings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can just like I'm super zippy. But if I'm transcribing something, I slow down. Like you know those typing tests where you read off of the thing?
Yeah.
I'm pretty slow with that, but just putting my thoughts in, I almost can't. Like I can type as fast as I can think.
I don't know if I have it, but dyslexia runs in my family,
and
really? So I might have just a smidgen of that because it would look right, like when I'm typing it. And I would like look down and it's like, "What's TSI?"
Oh yeah.
I was like, "What is that?" Oh, it's supposed to be this or
something.
Or it's or
you know. There's a few words I do that with. I type a lot of the same things because in my clinical notes, like we do notes on everybody every day, and so there's a lot of things like that I have to put in. One of them is there's a word stability in the middle of it, and it's something I type like 40 times a day, and I'm just like, but then every single time stability, the ITY is TIY,
really?
And I always have to go back and fix it every single time. And I think it's just, I don't know, I think one of my hands is faster than the other, and the T beats the I every time, and I always have to go back and correct it. So,
that's weird.
You know, I could just slow down and go ITY, but I'm just like, it's robot hands.
Yeah.
It just flies out. And sometimes I jumble the words up because I'm not thinking when I write it. It's like, continue to provide daily support to promote stability and recovery. And I put that at the bottom of each note. And I switch words around sometimes, so then it'll say like, continue to support, provide. And then I'm like, no, that's wrong. Provide support.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, it's one of those things.
Your mind gets a little frazzled. So, what else were we going to talk about? Oh, yeah, you know what? I have a friend who's been listening to our podcast in Florida. I'm going to say his name. His name's Dave Ferris. I told him I would say his name.
Cool.
And he is the one that told me that him and his friend, I can't remember his friend's name, they are going to be starting a YouTube channel.
Cool.
I know not what it's going to be about, but knowing him, it will be similar to this.
Cool.
Type of format. And we
should do a Skype thing where we crossover.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could figure out how to do that.
They do it all the time.
Yeah.
It's done. It's doable.
It is done.
Yeah.
It's done.
Matter of fact, it happens.
It's a thing.
He wants me to come down for a visit. Maybe we can do it then.
Yeah, totally.
We could Skype from there.
That would be fun.
That would be interesting, especially with the time difference.
Oh, yeah.
Because at 8 a.m. here, it's 11 a.m. there.
Oh, yeah. So they'll have a jump on us.
Yeah.
Or we do it 8 a.m. there, and then it's 4 a.m. here, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
No.
If I do, I'll be drunk and up from the night before.
That would be really actually interesting,
It would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Totally.
It's like drunk... Oh, you getting short on time?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
But that's a great idea. So when he gets his stuff going, we'll have to, put the links up and stuff. Because if you like our thing, you'll like his, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
He's mentioned that sounds just like when we used to sit in the bar and talk, and it reminds him he's been listening to it quite a bit.
Cool. That's awesome.
I also tell him to share. Please share.
Yes. Do please share.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing from a few people who've been listening regularly that are starting to dig the show. It's funny because my one friend who just told me this week that she started listening, she's only on like episode 5. And it's so weird because she was asking me a question about this art thing that we talked about on episode 5. And I was like, oh, yeah. And I was talking to her about it. And I was like, man, you need to just skip all that. Just come to the beginning. And she was like, no, I like it because you can see you guys evolving into something.
Oh, isn't that neat?
Yeah. And she was like, it's really interesting because like each episode kind of like you get to know you organically. She's like, I think if I jump to the end, I would want to go back.
It's like watching the last episode of Lost first.
Yeah, totally. Which I was like, that's true. And she gave me a lot of good feedback and thinks it's fun. She's going to be on the show. She runs a coffee shop.
Is this the one you want to go to soon?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go in a couple of weeks.
All right,
She's
awesome.
super fun.
And I know we plugged him several times, but Q Dot, I have been conversating with him, and my next turnaround is on the 15th, so I got him scheduled for that time. It's on December 15th. So
wonderful.
If everything goes right, we'll have Q Dot,
wonderful,
a local rapper from Tacoma.
Very cool. Yeah. And Rick was talking to me earlier this week, and Rick's not here this week. We didn't even mention that.
I know.
Rick couldn't be here today, but he'll be back next week, and he was telling me that he's going to try to get, I think his friend who's a musician on, and so we'll have more information about that person coming up soon.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be next week or his next. Well, we should say also that we're doing this little rotation thing, which is why we just skipped over it. Scott is doing the intro today.
Yeah.
We're sort of like each one of us can pick a week to come up with what we want to do, and so we're just kind of morphing the format a little bit to make it a little more. I don't know, easy.
Well, it makes it more interesting, and it takes the pressure off of the. Well, you were being the main host every week, and so it takes a little bit. It gives you a break.
It does give me a break, and it lets each person, because we all have different things we want to talk about. So instead of doing like a little sliver here, a little sliver there, it lets us talk about things more.
Right.
In each episode individually. Right. I don't know if that made any sense, but
it didn't.
That's
but
the intention.
It does a little bit.
So, and I'm going to only talk about poop and fart jokes in my episodes. I've decided.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
All poop, all farts.
All the time. 24 hours.
Exactly.
We should call it.
It would be PPFN. It's Peggy's Poop and Fart Network. That's my dream. That would actually. I would be a total rock star among 13-year-old boys. As I've always suspected.
I would say 40-year-old men, too, because I would listen to it.
Awesome.
All right, are we done?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're in charge.
All right,
remember?
Okay, so everybody tune into us on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, like us on Facebook, please. You know what, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to tell you, leave comments, because it's your job to tell us how we're doing.
It's true.
So anyway, until next time, huzzah.
Huzzah!